By the time you sit down in the finance office, the real deal hasn't started. You agreed on a price for the RV. You feel like the hard part is over. But this is where a dealer makes its real money through add-ons dressed up as routine paperwork, some checked off before you sit down. Almost none of them are required. Nearly every RV dealer runs the same playbook, and it quietly adds thousands to what you end up paying. Most buyers sign without asking what any of it actually costs, because by that point they're mentally already driving away in it. Here's what you should never pay for and why. Paint and fabric protection is usually the first name you'll hear once you sit down, sold under labels like Xylon, Diamond Coat, or Resistol. The pitch sounds impressive. It's a high-tech ceramic or polymer coating applied before delivery that supposedly protects your RV's finish for years to come. Most RVs already leave the factory with a clear coat finish built to handle sun, rain, and road grime on its own. Dealers commonly charge somewhere between $1,700 and $1,800 to add a second layer on top of that. But owners who compared notes on RV forums found something different. The actual product, or something very close to it, sells retail for closer to $100 or $200, and a quick search of the exact product name next to the word review turns up the same conclusion over and over. Some owners have bought that same bottle online and put it on themselves in an afternoon. They spent a weekend instead of a car payment and got the same result. Several RV makers simply say to let a new finish cure for a few weeks and then wax it like normal. No special coating is needed. And when owners have tried to use the warranty that backs this coating, complaint records tell a familiar story. Claims get denied over wording like wear and tear or impact damage. Those happen to be exactly the kind of damage a coating is supposed to prevent. So the warranty that's meant to justify the price falls apart the moment you need it. On a typical 5-year loan, that $1,700 upcharge can add several $100s in interest on top. That's all for coverage that may not even pay out. This isn't permanent protection. It's a wax job with an interest-bearing price tag. Think of it like paying car wash prices for a bottle of spray wax, then financing that spray wax for 5 years alongside the RV itself. Right alongside that often comes VIN, etching, sometimes bundled with a theft recovery plan that quietly renews itself year after year, showing up as a small charge on a card statement long after the RV itself is paid off. A technician engraves your vehicle identification number onto the glass. That job costs the dealer somewhere between $20 and $50 to perform. You'll typically be charged between $200 and $600 for it. Some buyers have reported paying far more once etching gets folded into a financing package instead of billed as its own line item, with the true cost buried inside the loan. The same abuse has drawn lawsuits against dealerships in Connecticut in recent years, accusing them of overcharging for etching and not disclosing that the service was optional. The etching itself takes under 20 minutes to do. Some local police departments even offer it for free at community safety events. The idea behind etching is simple. A window with your VIN scratched into it is harder for a thief to resell since the glass would need to be replaced. That part is real. What isn't real is the price tag dealers put on 20 minutes of labor. Dealers sometimes claim etching lowers your insurance premium too, but plenty of insurers offer no discount for it at all, so that's worth checking before you believe it. You're paying dealership prices for a subscription attached to a job that takes less time than your last oil change. If you still want it done, ask if a local police department runs a free etching event before you agree to pay a dealer 3, 4, or 10 times the real cost. Then there's nitrogen tire fill. Nitrogen genuinely does help tires hold pressure more evenly over time, but that benefit was built around vehicles driven every day on the highway, like delivery vans and long-haul trucks. Your RV probably sits parked in storage for weeks or months between trips. No matter what gas is inside the tire, you still need to check the pressure before every trip. Nitrogen doesn't remove that step. It only slightly stretches the interval between checks. What it does change is the price, since dealers charge extra for every tire, and an RV usually has 4 to 6 of them to fill, sometimes more once you count a spare and a tow vehicle. A $10 gauge and a 5-minute habit before you pull out of the driveway does essentially the same job for free. And if you ever need air on the road, most regular gas stations don't even carry nitrogen, so you'll be topping off with plain air anyway. That plain air quietly cancels out the very benefit you paid extra for at the dealership. Keep your $10 gauge in the glove box and skip the upsell because it costs less than one nitrogen fill-up, and it does the same job every time. If you're heading to a dealership soon, hit subscribe because the next few add-ons cost a lot more than a bottle of spray wax, and one of them can quietly cost you thousands over the life of the loan. The pressure really starts to show with the extended service contract. These get pitched after your RV price is already locked in, often with a line about tonight only pricing meant to rush you into signing before you can think it through. Owners have described 5-year contracts priced around $3,000 sold with that exact line. These contracts often get rolled directly into your monthly payment instead of shown as their own separate cost. That means you may not notice what you agreed to until much later. The coverage isn't always what it sounds like at the table either. Many of these plans exclude full-time RV use unless you pay extra for a rider. And the list of repair shops that will honor the contract can be far shorter than the salesperson implied. Some buyers only discover these limits when they try to file a claim months or years after signing, when it's far too late to walk away. Financed over 5 years, that $3,000 contract can end up costing a lot more once interest is added. All of that for coverage that might not even apply to how you use your RV. It isn't peace of mind, it's a second loan wearing a warranty's name. A warranty you can't actually use isn't worth the paper it's printed on. Read the exclusions before you sign, not after something breaks, and specifically ask whether full-time use, the way you actually plan to use the RV, is covered or excluded before you agree to anything. Somewhere in the same stack sits the customer care package, sometimes labeled a reconditioning fee. It gets bundled alongside the other add-ons and presented as a normal, expected part of delivery, one lump sum instead of a set of separate optional items. Some buyers have even been told the package is required for their loan to go through, when it has nothing to do with financing at all, a claim that doesn't hold up if you actually ask your lender directly. That bundling is the real problem. When a fee isn't broken out line by line, you can't see what you're paying for. You also can't say no to just the parts you don't want. A real reconditioning charge might cover something specific like a wash, a walkthrough, or fixing a small defect found before delivery, and there's nothing wrong with paying a fair price for real named work. But if a piece of that bundle isn't tied to a real specific nameable service, then it isn't really a fee at all. It's an upsell wearing a delivery form. Ask to see it broken down and watch how fast the total shrinks. A real fee has a name and a job attached to it. This one usually doesn't. Not far behind is gap insurance, sold through the dealer. If your loan balance could ever end up higher than the RV is worth, gap coverage itself serves a real purpose, especially on a longer loan term where depreciation can outpace what you've paid down. That's exactly why you shouldn't pay the dealer's price for it, not because the coverage itself is fake, but because the markup on it usually is. The finance desk always charges more for gap than your own insurance company or credit union charges for identical coverage, sometimes several times over for the same protection. If you're putting a solid amount down, you may not need it at all. Your loan balance likely stays comfortably below the RV's value as it depreciates, which means there's no gap for the coverage to fill in the first place. A 5-minute call to your own insurer can save you hundreds of dollars on the exact same coverage. Do that call before you shop for the RV, not after. By the time you reach the bottom of the stack, you'll hit the documentation fee. This is the one every buyer pays in every state on every deal, no matter what RV they choose. It's supposed to cover paperwork and title filing, work that barely changes no matter where you live. Yet the price swings wildly depending on which state you're standing in when you sign. California caps this fee at $85. New York caps it at $175. Washington keeps it under $200. States with no cap at all often see dealers charge $500 to nearly $1,000 for that exact same stack of paperwork. That means the exact same task, filling out the exact same forms, can cost you 10 times more depending purely on which side of a state line the dealership sits on. On top of that, many dealers tack on a separate pre-delivery inspection fee that isn't capped at all. That number can run anywhere from nothing to well over $1,000. and during high demand periods, it sometimes climbs into the thousands. Sometimes you'll even find the same task charged twice under two different names, a dock fee and a processing fee, sitting side by side on the same order, both covering work that should have been folded into one line. None of this reflects what the paperwork cost the dealer to produce. It reflects what your state's laws happen to allow them to charge. This isn't a real cost difference. It's a regulatory loophole with your name on the invoice. Ask your dealer which state's cap they're using to justify the number, and ask them to show you the law that sets it, not just tell you a figure. Step back and the pattern is the same every time. Almost every one of these charges is optional, whether or not it was ever presented that way. Almost everyone is priced at several times what it costs, and almost everyone gets pushed on you in that same short window, right after you've already fallen for the RV and you're ready to sign nearly anything to drive it home. None of these add-ons make your RV better built or more reliable. They just move money out of your account and into the dealerships, while the paperwork makes it feel routine and unavoidable. Individually, any one of these might only run you a few $100s extra. Stacked together on a single deal, they routinely add up to $5,000, $6,000, sometimes $7,000 before you've driven the RV off the lot. So before you walk back into that finance office, ask for an itemized buyer's order in advance, ideally emailed to you before you ever set foot back in the building. If anything is bundled instead of listed out separately, ask for it broken apart line by line. If a dealer can't clearly explain what a fee costs them to provide, that's your answer. The RV was never the expensive part of this deal. The paperwork was. Drop a comment with which of these add-ons you got hit with and how much it actually cost you once you found out what it really was.